Welcome back. Time now for business, which I'm joined by Owen Fairclough. Good morning again to you, Owen. Another week, Greece again on the agenda. Another meeting of Eurozone finance ministers, and the reactions from the markets not bad so far, as those Greeks look to convince the Eurozone that they're worthy of this bailout.
Yeah, some of the Asian markets have come off the highs of the day, Chris, but at least the Nikkei has finished the day with a reasonably good showing, closing 1% in the green. The rest of the Asian markets as well also showing a reasonably good showing. That's against all the news flow, though. I say that because the trade deficit in Japan is widening. Those are the numbers on the markets for you. Trade deficit in Japan widening in January once again. Imports dropped by some 10%. That's a record amount for the Japanese economy. It's importing record amounts of energy as well. Still trying to get back on its feet in terms of energy. Post Fukushima, and of course exports are still down with the yen still a bit too strong for most exporters right now. Okay, well, let's pick up with the Greece story. As Chris says, Eurozone finance ministers are meeting in Brussels a little later this Monday, this afternoon, ostensibly to sign off on that 130 billion euro second bailout for Greece. That was after another weekend of negotiations with the Greek government, finally managing to meet the kind of budget cuts that the EU and the IMF want to impose. Well, let's pick up on this with Konstantin Mikalos. He's the president of the Athens Chamber of Commerce. He joins us from Athens. Konstantin, many thanks indeed for joining us here on the Business Show. Just tell us, first of all, a little bit about the sentiment among your members right now in Athens. Do they think that your country can accommodate these extra budget cuts that the so-called Troika want?
Well, this second rescue package totaling 130 billion has already been passed through Parliament, and the government is presenting it to the Eurozone finance ministers meeting today. However, we fear that the sustainability report concerning the Greek economy shows that by 2020, the target which has been set initially at 120% against the GDP is now being differentiated and is increasing nearer to 130%, in fact 129.5%. This will mean that there will be a need for another 6 billion euros in terms of measures. And you can fully appreciate the fact that if these are towards a more austerity, in addition to the one that we've lived through up to now, it will be almost impossible to be accommodated by Greek society. We were hoping that even within this agreement, this second rescue package, which is set to be approved by the Eurozone finance ministers meeting today, that we would be able to renegotiate certain aspects so that we can enhance growth, we can provide more stimulus for the economy, which we need, because if you keep on milking a cow, eventually you're not going to get the product at the end. So this is the fear at the moment, that there could be differentiations in terms of the sustainability of the debt.
What kind of aspects are you talking about renegotiating there? Specifically, what would help in your view, to get the Greek economy back on track?
Well, what we need is to attract investment, both local investment and foreign investment. Therefore, we have to look within this taxation competition environment that we're living in, the levels of business taxation. At the moment, a business entity in Greece is paying 52% compared to other nations, neighboring nations, part of the European Union, such as Bulgaria, Romania, Cyprus, ranging between 10 and 16%. So we have to reduce direct and indirect taxation, of course, having in place a mechanism that can monitor the tax receipts, because it is an inherent problem in Greece as far as taxes evasion is concerned, not only in Greece and other European nations as well, but it has been pointed out that in Greece more so than in others. And of course, we have made proposals to the government for special economic zones, something that is being approved, has been approved by the European Union, and we should be seriously looking into that so that we can attract large investments here in Greece and therefore create jobs, which is the major problem at the moment. As you know, unemployment has reached 20%, and that's extremely critical if you consider that against the aspect of social cohesion, which we must keep intact at whatever cost.
And Constantine, we hear suggestions that the government will impose losses on any private investors who refuse to take part in the bond swap. Is there any real chance of that happening?
Well, I think that's the only way ahead, to be quite honest. We're going to have a large percentage, approximately 70 to 75% haircut, and it will be with coercive measures. And I think that the activation of the so-called CACs, the collective action clauses, will eventually create a domino effect as far as the Eurobond market is concerned, because although it has been pointed out that Greece is a unique case as far as the haircut is concerned, the so-called PSI, we've already seen the reaction of the markets over the last 2 to 3 weeks towards Portugal in terms of both their CDSs and their spreads. They're almost at historical high levels, and I think that with these coercive measures going into action, that we will eventually see a domino effect within the rest of Europe.
Konstantin Miklos in Athens, thanks for joining us. Now, oil prices in Asian trading have risen nearly 2%, taking US crude up to $105 a barrel. The surge in prices followed Iran's decision to cut oil supplies to France and the United Kingdom, but the impact is likely to be limited, as William Edwards explains.
Rather than wait for sanctions to come into place, Iran has decided to jump the gun when it comes to oil exports to Britain and France. The move shouldn't have a big effect on the two importers. France only got 3% of its oil from Iran last year, while Britain is thought to have stopped importing it already. As a whole, though, the EU buys around 20% of Iran's oil, with Greece, Italy and Spain being the biggest importers. The Islamic Republic is currently struggling to find new buyers for the spare capacity that will be freed up when EU sanctions come into place in July. Tehran will be hoping that China and India will cover the shortfall. But this uncertainty from the world's third largest oil producer has already meant a barrel of Brent crude is now trading at around a one-year high. Saudi Arabia has said it will pick up the slack and increase its supplies for European buyers, a move that has been criticised by Tehran. Nevertheless, European consumers will be concerned that prices at the pump are likely to rise, with the chief executive of Total saying it's only a matter of time before petrol prices in France hit €2 per litre.
That's it for business. Our thanks to Owen Fairclough. Do stay tuned here on France 24. Claire Pride will be back with the news very soon.
Four candidates. Only one nominee. Follow the 2012 US primaries live on France 24.